How does inflation go up and down in the same month? Well, that happened in September in the US. The latest data is out for both Canada and the US, and it is telling us that inflation might not be as comfortably behind us as we thought that it was. I'm going to look today at the latest data. I'm going to clear up some of the confusion, like inflation going up and down in the same month. Most importantly here, I'm also going to explain why the inflation number that you hear about on the news probably doesn't even matter. Let's break it down here. In Canada, the annual inflation rate rose to 2.4% in September. That is a pretty big jump from the 1.9% we saw the month before. It's also the highest since February. In the US, meanwhile, inflation ticked up a little bit to 3%. That too is at its highest mark since January. Now, on the surface, when you look at these, both of these figures are definitely well below the crisis era levels that we saw just a couple of years ago. You can see here how much we've dropped since then. But these numbers do represent something that the central banks were hoping to avoid. Inflation is drifting back up after all those months of progress, and it's going in the wrong direction again. So let's look at what is actually driving this. Let's take a deeper look right now. I'm going to talk here about core inflation. And why does core inflation matter so much to the decision makers, the central banks, than the headline numbers that you see on the news? What does it mean for us as investors? When we talk about inflation, there are really two key measures, headline and core. Now, the headline inflation, that's the broadest number. It measures the total change in consumer prices across everything, gas, groceries, rent. Basically, it is what you feel as a person in your day-to-day spending. Now, core inflation, on the other hand, that strips out the most volatile items, things like food and energy, and it gets a cleaner read on the underlying trend in prices. So core inflation is more like looking at your regular bills, right? Your rent, your groceries, your utilities, to see if your everyday costs are actually steadily falling or rising. Because energy prices tend to swing wildly month to month due to things like weather, geopolitics, the oil supply, the core strips those out. Those numbers can create a lot of noise that doesn't necessarily reflect the ongoing inflation pressure in the economy. So when the central banks, like the Bank of Canada, like the US Federal Reserve, talk about persistent inflation, they're usually referring to these core measures. Let's take a closer look here. As I mentioned, Canada's headline CPI rose to 2.4% in September. That's the first time in 6 months that it's been above the Bank of Canada's 2% target. Now, part of this rise wasn't due to prices spiking higher. It was because prices last year were unusually low. That's what economists call the base year effects. Basically, the comparison point from 2024 was artificially depressed, so this year's prices look hotter in comparison. You can see on this chart that September last year was very low. Now, that said, there were some real increases too. Transportation costs, they reversed from a 0.5% drop in August to a 1.5% rise in September. That's largely because gasoline deflation had eased, but prices were falling less sharply than they were before. Now, also food inflation reaccelerated, rose 3.8% year over year. So yes, prices are still rising slower than they were in 2022, but certain categories, they're proving to be a little bit more stubborn. Now, this is where it gets really interesting in the core readings. These are the ones that the Bank of Canada actually watches most closely. First off, I want to look at just the regular core inflation. That rose from 2.6% in August to 2.8% in September. But let's look at the numbers that matter most to the Bank of Canada. These are the CPI median rate. That held at 3.2%, the highest in a year. And the CPI trimmed mean. This is another preferred Bank of Canada measure that removes the outliers from both ends. That came in at 3.1%. So those three numbers, 2.8%, 3.2, 3.1, these are all uncomfortably above the Bank of Canada's 2% inflation target. And that's what matters most for policy. It tells us that the underlying momentum in prices hasn't cooled as much as the bank would like. In other words, when we look at this here, inflation is broad-based enough to keep the Bank of Canada cautious, though probably not enough to stop it from cutting rates altogether. Now, in the US, we see a bit of a different story. Remember how I asked how inflation can go up and down at the same time? Well, in the US in September, the headline inflation did edge up. It went to 3%, up from 2.9% in August. And that uptick came mostly from energy. More on that in just a moment here. But the core inflation rate, again, this strips out food and energy, it actually fell. It dropped from 3.1% down to 3%. So the headline inflation went up, but the core went down. And it is only a small move down, but it does matter because it shows that the US is still making some slow, steady progress towards that 2% goal. In fact, when we look at this, core inflation in the US is now running at its lowest level since early 2021. Now, on the wrong side of that battle, we saw shelter inflation. That is the largest single component of the index, pretty stable, running at 3.6%. But energy prices rose 6.4% year over year. Look at gas prices, up 11.7% on the year. So while that headline inflation might sound a little bit discouraging, in other words, it went up, the core data paints a bit of a more encouraging picture when you look at it from the perspective of the Federal Reserve. Now, this month's numbers, they are a good case study in how inflation and core inflation can tell dramatically different stories. In both countries this time around, energy and food played the role of swing factors. In Canada, we saw easing deflation in gasoline. Prices fell 4.1% year over year in September. That is after a 12.7% decrease in August. Again, the smaller year over year decline was due largely to that base year effect I spoke of earlier. In September 2024, prices fell 7.1% month over month. Now, rising grocery prices, these made the headline figure pop even higher. September 2025, we saw the largest year-over-year increase in grocery prices since the most recent low in April of 2024, even though the underlying trend in core inflation didn't worsen that much. Now, in the US, again, we saw energy push that inflation headline number up, but we saw slowing price gains in used cars and shelter that pulled the core number down. And this is a really good reminder that inflation itself can be misleading if you look at it in isolation. You can have 1 month's movement, can be driven entirely by external shocks, not necessarily by domestic demand, things like wage growth. And like I said, the central banks do care more about core inflation because that's what tends to respond more to their policies. So what does this all mean to us as investors? Well, first, really importantly here, I don't see us going back to the panic that we saw with inflation a couple of years ago, say back in 2022. Both Canada, US, we are in a much better place right now. Inflation is roughly half of what it was at its peak. But these latest prints, they do show that the last mile of disinflation, so getting from that 3% down to that 2%, is proving to be more challenging than the central banks would probably like. Again, prices aren't rising rapidly, but they're not cooling in a very straight line either. For central banks, this puts them in a delicate position. Let's look at where we're at right now. As we just saw, inflation is still above target, but growth is slow and still challenging. And these charts show where we're at both here in Canada and the US. Unemployment in both countries is also higher than the central banks would like. And that combination, so we have softer growth with easing but not perfect inflation, less than ideal jobs numbers, and generally that will tilt the policy toward more rate cuts, not fewer. So the Bank of Canada, the Federal Reserve here, they are likely to continue easing gradually into 2026. I don't see them being overly aggressive with that. They're going to want to avoid reigniting that inflation, but the bias is now definitely towards more careful reductions as long as inflation keeps trending down overall. For long-term investors, the story repeats itself here. It is worth remembering that inflation noise is just that. It's noise. The key question is whether inflation expectations stay anchored, and so far, both economies here are looking broadly stable on that front. Must say, though, it wouldn't take a whole lot to get that moving in the wrong direction again. Hopefully this clears up the difference between headline and core inflation and why the central banks pay such close attention to both of them. As we've seen this month, they can tell two very different stories. Now, before you go, don't forget to subscribe. Also, on this video right here, you can learn about 3 key mindset and strategy shifts that will help you navigate volatility with confidence. As always, I say thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.